All right, Coach Sam with Military Athlete. I've got Coach Scott here helping us out. We're going to demonstrate some basic rowing technique to get you guys familiar with this as it becomes more frequent in our programming. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just basic setup and just some general considerations when we get on the row machine. First thing we're going to look at down here is foot placement. So we notice we have the foot straps. We always want to make sure we're strapped in so you're not falling off the rowing machine as you're going about your workout. But we want to make sure that strap is right across the midfoot. We don't want it up on the toe or too close to our ankles. Okay. The second thing that we need to be cognizant of is when we go ahead and grip the handles. A lot of times I see athletes over grip this, applying too much grip strength to these handles. Hands should be nice and relaxed, and we also want to have a straight wrist or a locked wrist when we do that. We don't want to have any break in the wrist. Adam, just go ahead and flex your wrist. We don't want to have any break in the wrist like such at any portion of your row. Okay. Talking about the basic technique for the row now, we're going to want to think straight lines as we're doing this. So Adam's going to have a straight back. He's going to maintain a nice posture as he's rowing. As he goes to initiate his pull, his initial drive, he's going to extend his legs completely first, open at the hips, and then pull with the arms. Notice the handles are going to be hitting him in the bottom of his rib cage, coming in nice and tight. He's keeping his back straight at the end of his pull at about 11 or 1 o'clock from the clock method. Okay. As he goes to return in his recovery phase, he's going to extend his arms first, close his hips, and then close his knees. Also of note with the straight line concept, we're going to notice that the cable stays straight throughout the duration of this pull. We don't want to start having that cable wave or whip as he's pulling. All right. Adam's going to go ahead now and demonstrate a few good pulls for us. Notice as he's rowing, he's initiating that drive phase with his legs, pulling it nice and tight, and having a slow recovery. So now that we've talked about some of the basic techniques that we need to incorporate when we're rowing, we're going to talk about some of the common faults that we see with some of our athletes that we're training. So Adam's going to go ahead and demonstrate some improper technique, and we're going to try and correct him on it as he goes through this. So we notice how Adam is currently pulling with his arms first, and it's not a fluid motion. So what we're aiming to do is, again, drive with our legs so that it's one fluid movement throughout the entire range of motion. The next common mistake that I typically see with athletes is rushing the recovery. So Adam's going to go ahead and demonstrate rushing the recovery phase. A lot of times what we see with athletes as they're rowing is they associate faster row times or split times with a faster recovery. The way to think about this is we can actually generate more intensity with the row, and you still allow that recovery at a nice and slow pace and maintain that proper stroke rate. So Adam's going to go ahead and demonstrate this. As he's doing this, notice that his recovery portion is staying nice and consistent, and he's actually only increasing the intensity of his pull. What that is allowing him to do is maintain a lower stroke rate and still recover properly while maintaining that intensity on his row. Okay. The last common mistake trend that we typically see is overreaching. Again, the intent that we're always trying to achieve with the row machine is to increase that pull length. So often what happens is athletes will overreach and try and put the handles as close to that flywheel as possible as they pull back to lengthen that pull. So Adam's going to demonstrate that improper technique. Again, this goes against working with the straight line. So again, you want to maintain that straight back as much as possible. And as he finishes, notice he's going to come slightly forward, but he's not going to overreach or overextend.